Greetings, kindred. Happy new moon. Wow, what an eventful time we're in right now. And yeah, but before we get into this new moon, let me give you some dates. So we have Neptune beginning his retrograde on the 4th of July. We have Saturn going into retrograde on the 13th of July. And we have Mercury entering into pre-shadow on the 29th of June. But the actual retrograde begins on the 18th of July. So remember, the pre-shadow can be just as powerful as the retrograde itself, and I will be doing an article on that separately. Now, we do have a Saturn-Neptune conjunction in force at the moment, and, they've been quite close for a while now, but they will come into I suppose they're more close orbits around the 29th of June as well. So as Mercury enters into pre-shadow, Neptune and Saturn will come closest on the 29th as well. So I feel the 29th of June is going to be pretty significant when it comes to planetary events. Oh, and also, the Mercury retrograde will be in the sign of Cancer. So like I said, I will be doing an article for that, and I should have that up and out around about the 28th, 29th of June. I've done the horoscopes. The horoscopes are already posted up on my website, and I'll put a link to those below as well. So let's get started. So the new moon will begin on June 25th at 11:31 in the GMT time zone, at 6:31 in the EDT time zone, and at 20:31 in the AEDT time zone. And as the new moon begins, she will be in conjunction with both Jupiter and the Sun. Now, the moon and Sun are always in conjunction at a new moon. And they're all 3 degrees, so it's like a triple energy going on here in Gemini. Now, Gemini is a mutable sign. So we can expect, a lot of, especially here in the UK, a lot of media attention. But really, 369, it's kind of like the number 3 represents trilogy. It's the life, death, rebirth, the mind, body, spirit. But it's all about the expansion of self with these aspects going on here. Now, they're all in quincunx aspect to Pluto. So this is where self-expansion can become pretty uncomfortable. This is like triggering, I would say, a massive transformation. But it's very kind of restless, uncomfortable, and it can also be quite manipulative as well. So we need to watch out for that. But this is where we're really being pushed out of our comfort zones, and it really is beyond our control. So the energies right now can seem very intense, but also, pretty dark as well. So there's a lot of aspects going on this new moon that really is bringing up a lot of complex emotions. Can also be about self-denial. This is where sometimes we get this, this surge of like emotion. On the whole, the emotions and the self-expansion that I'm seeing going on here is super, super powerful. It can really feel like it can be quite overwhelming, this energy. So just watch out for that. So I would really recommend deep breathing techniques for those that are affected by this energy. I mean, Pluto's in Capricorn, and this trilogy of planets is in Gemini. So, if you are a sun sign Gemini, you've got planets in Gemini, at the beginning of Gemini especially, or if you've got planets in Capricorn at the beginning of Capricorn, maybe around about the first week, then I would say that, if you've got planets there, then it's going to be really affecting you probably the most. Do you know what I mean? But I would definitely recommend deep breathing exercises, keeping yourself grounded, because Gemini is air. Gemini can be a little bit all over the place and can be very much detached emotionally. And Pluto in Capricorn, that really is that is a heavy energy. It can cause a lot of depression, anxiety. It can create a lot of regret as well. But we do have the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter all in trine to Vesta, who's transiting through Virgo at the moment. So again, we can expel excess energy through being creative by fulfilling our passions, or even, delving into our spirituality. So, whether we're chanting, praying, or even singing, it's a good release. Gemini is a very mutable sign. So sometimes we can release excess energy through, vocals, or through sound, even just making sounds. But Capricorn can be quite reserved. So it may feel uncomfortable to express ourselves in that way as well. But it's a good release, and it's a good way to expel excess energy. Because I feel like there's a lot of nervous energy with this trilogy of planets in quincunx to Pluto. We also have the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter in square to Saturn. Now, this brings up a lot of challenges emotionally. This is where our sense of responsibility can become quite overwhelming as well. We do know that, like the number 3, it's very significant when it comes to, like the life, death, rebirth process. It's a very spiritual number, but it's a very spiritually traditional number. And, but this square to Saturn and Neptune, actually, and like I said, Saturn and Neptune will come at their closest on June 29th as Mercury goes into pre-shadow. So I do feel that some of us could feel pretty vulnerable as well with this energy that's coming in. So, and I think with everything that's going on in the world, it's bringing up a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety in people. So, it can be pretty draining because, the Geminian energy can be very draining in this respect when it comes to this quincunx energy with Pluto. You know what I mean? So it's very depleting. So we've got all this abundant energy coming in, but it's too much for us to cope with, mentally and emotionally. And like I said, if you've got planets at the beginning of Gemini, you've got planets at the beginning of Pluto, you will be most affected. So it really does depend on our own individual charts. But, we do have the Sun, the Moon, and Jupiter in sextile to Mars. This gives us a lot of emotional strength, keeps us motivated, and gives us like a sense of passion. So we can really kind of focus our energies into being creative, into being productive. It's very dominating and aggressive energy, but the challenges that come in with it can feel pretty daunting. Now, we also have the Black Moon Lilith in opposition to Uranus, which is at 5 degrees. But when the Black Moon touches Uranus, it's like they both the Black Moon and Uranus tend to mind their own business. They tend to leave each other alone. But what it does create is like this shadow energy. So it can be quite not a manipulative or a deceptive energy, but it can just bring in those kind of people that are shady. So it's a shady, what we would call a shady energy. And at 5 degrees, it's a shifting number. I mean, the Black Moon's at 19 degrees. 19 really is quite a good number in a way. It's a number of Leo. So I really do feel, maybe there's stuff going on around young people at the moment, or certain things are coming to light or will be coming to light over a period of time. But the thing is with the Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Libra, which is, I mean, she's flitting backwards and forwards between Libra and Virgo at the moment. I think she's touching Scorpio at times as well, because her energy, her movements are very erratic in the sky. They're very backwards and forwards. So it's not an anti-clockwise motion like the rest of the planet. She's kind of backwards and forwards. But in Libra, there is this kind of energy of high expectation. And sometimes those expectations can be unrealistic. So we may see something come up around children and unrealistic expectations, etc., that's going on this new moon. But on the whole, yeah, I just feel this is a very intense time, a little bit nerve-wracking. It's creating a lot of anxiety, but, I've been saying that for the last 5 years. We've been in this anxious, walking on broken eggshells kind of energy for the last 5 years. Most of us are sensitive to energy. So even if we're not seeing it, we're feeling it. So it's very good if we're in spiritual practices like alternative therapies. And I would definitely say, watch out for issues around the head, like headaches. So anyway, Kindreds, I will link the horoscopes below. And like I said, I'll be doing the Mercury retrograde article as well. And as always, I'm sending you all peace and much love. Take care.